Well, it's that time. We are diving back into the K24 Cefiro build. We've got more exciting fab work to do. I'm really stoked to get started on this stuff and try to get this finished up. We're going to be working on the V-mount radiator and intercooler setup. We got our expansion tank built last time. We got some of the radiator stuff done. We got our new radiator in. We got a lot of work to do, and we're just cruising right along to the finish of the ultimate street drift car build. This thing is going to be so cool when it's done. I can't wait. I'm so excited to fire this thing up for the first time, and we're not too far off, but we got some work ahead of us and nothing left to it but to do it. So we got another new tool. Last time we got this swag off-road press brake, which made our lives way easier building the fan shroud and the expansion tank and stuff. And now we've got another new tool that's gonna make our fab lives a lot easier. I'm gonna start getting it assembled, show you what it is. Alrighty, here it is, the new tool. Oh, I am very excited to start using this thing. And I just love tools. I love tools, especially fab tools. They make such a big difference. The workflow is so much better, but not only that, the end result so much better. So this is something I've wanted for a long time. I've been looking to get some sort of belt grinder for a while now. Up until now, I had to just clamp stuff in the vise and use a hand grinder and try to shape it myself, which there's only so much you can do with that, or hold it down on the table to try to get the mill scale off, and not great options. Not great options. This will allow us to do every single thing we could ever want to do. So this is a 2" by 72" belt grinder by Ameribraid. So these are made in the US, the motors, the controllers, everything made in the US, which is sick. I always like to support US companies. Basically what we have is a completely transformable setup here. So right now we've got it set up with our flat surface here. We've got our worktop, so I can just loosen this, flip this up. I can loosen this, pull this out, put it down here out of the way, and then flip this up, tension the belt, and now we can grind on this rubber wheel here. We can take this whole arm off entirely and put this one on in its place like that. And then we've got a bunch of different diameter rollers that go in here like this, that the belt will ride on to allow us to grind different radiuses, from as small as a 1/4" radius to as large as a 2" radius. Something that would be really useful for would be if you had a cage and you wanted to weld a tab to it. You could use the right diameter roller, grind your little tab, and get your perfect basically notch in it to weld it on and fit it up to the pipe. So anyway, you get the idea. There's a million different ways to use this thing. It is super powerful. We can use a wide variation of belts. So we've got everything from Scotch-Brite belts to 40 grit. Take away as much material as you can right now, please. Belts to 120 grit fine sanding. I've got a 60 grit on here now. I think you get the idea. This thing can do it all. I'm not gonna jibber jabber on too much, but it's a new tool that I'm really excited about, and it's gonna make our lives so much better and make for nicer stuff. So, all that being said, that's the new tool that we're gonna be using for probably everything. Let's get to using it. So I've got my mock-up radiator here that we use. This was kind of a guinea pig proof of concept to make sure that this size radiator was gonna fit from Mishimoto. I really wanted to run it. I didn't want to hack up a nice new one, so they sent me this damaged one to try it out on, and we're gonna be able to make it work. So we've got a fresh one right here that's not damaged. These brackets that I built, these are gonna be for mounting it into the car. I wanna make sure these still fit on the new one, and then we're gonna clean them up a little bit, shape them up a little nicer, now that we have the technology. We also built a fan shroud for it, so we just have the shroud and the offset now, and the fan's mounted to it, but we still need to build mounting tabs. I just didn't want to do that or mount it to the car until we had the new radiator that was square. All right, cool, those fit. Before we get to making them a little prettier, we need to hack up this nice radiator. It's gonna hurt. Didn't hurt as bad to do it to the damaged one, but she's gotta get cut up a little bit. For this part, I'm going to switch to a little more aggressive belt. Well, that was a lot easier than using a normal grinder, and a lot easier to get a straight flat grind instead of trying to even it out by eye. All right, so sweet, now that that's done, I want to shape up the brackets a little bit, and then we will move on full steam ahead with radiator mounting and fabricating and building, all that stuff. All right, sweet. Brackets cleaned up, edges nicely rounded off. Just makes them look a little bit nicer. All right, now we're essentially back to where we were, but with the new radiator. All right, so I made this shroud a little bit too small because I was trying to make it fit on the mock-up radiator. So I ended up rebending it and making it shorter, which now it's a little too short, but it'll be all right. It fits perfect otherwise, other than the fact that I made it a little short. So I think some CAD is in order for these brackets. Good old CAD, cardboard aided design. All right, that's the gist of what we're going for. I'm gonna make one for the other side. That one's gonna be a little more elaborate. Then we'll get to jamming out on cutting, fitting, grinding, which I'm really excited about. All I wanna do is use the new belt grinder. Just excited, new tool. But anyway, gonna put some music on, jam out, start hammering this stuff out. To do that, we're gonna use a product from today's video sponsor, Cove Audio. We have their Commuter 2 speaker here. Now this thing's awesome. It goes super loud, so I can hear the music over all the noises of cutting and grinding and fitting and welding, and it splits in half. The coolest thing about that is I'll take one, put it right here for my cutting and fitting and checking. And I can take the other one, put it right over here by the belt sander, so I can grinding, I can hear my music. And when I'm checking and fitting, I can hear my music. Let me show you. I'm listening to a lot of Brother Ali lately. So we've got music over here. And music over here with my phone in my pocket. So that is definitely one of my favorite features. It is so unique to the Cove Commuter 2. Now they sold out of these in January, but they have more in stock, and they're offering another great deal of a New Year Best discount till the end of February. So if you missed out last time, you can get one this time for over 67% off if you use my code, which I'll put here on the screen, or my link down in the description. So huge thank you to Cove for sponsoring this video. I love using their products to help me jam out to music. I've been in a music mode lately, especially Brother Ali. I used to listen to him a long time ago. I haven't listened in years, and I've been jamming out constantly, any chance I can. But it's kind of hard with you guys here because you're not allowed to listen to a lot of music, you know, because of copyright laws and all that. But I jam out when I can, and it's a great way to do it. So that being said, I'm gonna get back to cutting, fitting, and welding and all that stuff, and we're gonna get this brackets done.
So the very next morning, I listened through the floor to the way I live at. Put our hands over our mouth.
All right, I'm gonna have to switch to headphones so I can actually let you guys hear the audio. Why can't you guys just be allowed to listen to music? That would make life a lot easier. All right, we've got our brackets cut, shaped, and cleaned up. Bolted on. All we gotta do is tack them to the shroud and then weld them to the shroud. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the fans off. I just don't wanna heat up this shroud with the fans on here. We're gonna need to seal these anyway. So pull these off, get these tacked, get them welded. You know the drill. But dude, belt grinder, life-changing. Being able to make a complex shape so cleanly, oh, it's so much nicer than trying to do it with the freaking grinder. We got a lot to do. So we gotta stop jibber jabbering and get back to work. Gonna have to switch headphones again because can't wear over-ear headphones with the helmet on. You know what? I was gonna take this off to weld it, but I think I'm just gonna weld it on the radiator so it doesn't bow too much. Alright, the welds came out decent. This side, not so much. I was trying to do my manual pulse. For those of you who don't know, actually, I use what's called a TIG button. So this is like a pressure switch. So instead of using a pedal and varying the amperage, I use this button. And the pedal's definitely easier to get a little bit more precise control. You have more overall dexterity. Let me turn this water cooler off. This thing is so loud. It's easier to control the voltage more finitely. However, the TIG button is here. So like if I'm standing up, it's easier if I gotta lean over, if I gotta weld something on the car. So I just started using it all the time. I used to hook the pedal back up when I would be welding on the bench like this, but I don't even bother anymore. So manually pulsing with this is a little tricky, but anyway, it works. I don't use the pedal anymore. I don't know where it is. It's not even hooked up to the machine. So anyway, this side came out a little bit better. So we got it good from about here to here. This, I dipped the tungsten. Start was a little cold. Overall, I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with the shape of the brackets, man. That freaking belt grinder, I can't even get over it. I just want to keep using it. What else can I make that needs it? I'm going to grind everything on it, even if I don't have to, just because I want to use it. All right, enough jibber jabber. We got to get this thing off. We got to seal it up, bolt it back on, and then we got to seal our fans up. You guys want to know how much of a baby I am? It's only like 42 degrees out. And I got a space heater in here. I caved. I've never done this before, but I've got a jacket on with a shirt underneath, and I was still cold. I couldn't warm up. I feel like my girlfriend. She's always cold. Let's seal this thing up, finish this out right. Then we can move on. Dude, the one thing I absolutely hate about doing fab work is just how many tools end up everywhere. And it's like I want to put them away, but I know I'm going to need them. And I'm normally not that guy. I put tools away even if I'm going to need them in a little bit, but it's like everything on here I need, but it just, it's so cluttered. So I've got this stuff I got on Amazon. I use this for my Miata as well. If I could ever open it, I'll show it to you. So it's like this double rubber dealio. I just use this instead of the foam stuff because the foam stuff kind of breaks apart. This stuff seems to hold together better, and it's not as porous as the foam stuff, so we shouldn't have any air getting in. That's pretty satisfying. It came out pretty good this time. That curve, boys. Alright, now our shroud is sealed up. Shouldn't have any air past that, Johnny. Alright, I'm going to take the extra step of sealing the fan itself. I don't know how much this will matter, but there's definitely little gaps when it's all bolted up. And any bit of air that's not being sucked through the core by the fans is essentially wasted. If it's sucking in air from here, it's not doing anything for us. We want every bit of air that these fans are pulling to come through the core and cool our water down. All right, our radiator assembly is complete. Shroud sealed, fan sealed, shroud mounted. It's complete. Well, it's not complete because we still got to do our inlets and outlets actually. But now we can at least get it mounted up. We can start working on mounting and then start working on our inlets and outlets here. We're gonna have to do some kind of wild stuff, but we need it mounted first to figure out what exact wild stuff we need to do. That being said, before we put this back in and start mounting it, we do have one other welding project that I'm not very happy about, but I have to do it. I have to. So if you saw the expansion tank build, you will remember that we built the bulk of this out of 2 pieces. Normally this would be a piece, a piece, a piece, a piece. Instead we have a side and a top and a side and a front. Now this worked out great and it looks way better than it would because there's no weld here. However, I kind of screwed up. When I put it in the press brake, I didn't put anything down here. I should have done something like this, like a thin piece of plastic to protect it from these edges right here that it's bending against. Since I didn't do that, we ended up with this really deep crease. And my experience with expansion tanks is that they do handle a lot of pressure and they can blow up. On a full send rip in the old LS Miata, I blew it up right here. You can see the shinier weld here. I had to clamp it back together and weld it back together. And that was just from heat and pressure. You know, the more heat, the more pressure it creates. And we've got a 20-pound cap on here. So anyway, moral of the story is, if this was my first rodeo with an expansion tank, I would think we were fine. I would tell you that there was no need that would be fine, but I don't think it's gonna be fine. So we gotta pull the old girl out and ugly her up with a weld here and a weld right here. I hate to do it, but while we got all the welder stuff out, might as well. Doesn't look too bad. I'd much prefer to not have it, but not too bad. So we can toss this back in now and move back onto the radiator mounting. I just wanted to knock this out while the welder was still on and ripping. So your eye doesn't really kind of catches it. I'm not gonna talk about it. Had to do it. Let's put the radiator in. It's a whole lot heavier with a big old shroud and fans on it. I'll tell you what. Yeah, see, this is why I wanted to test fit before mounting. A little tight on the pulley, but I think that'll be okay. Oh yeah, the fan's hitting the tension rod bracket. We need to check and make sure the intercooler still fits. All right, well, a little bit of head scratching, but I think I've got it about as good as it's gonna get. Not exactly where I want it. The problem is the fan hits the tension arm down here. So I put this cardboard there so that whenever we mount it with it touching, it gives us a little bit of cushion. We don't want that sitting on the tension rod. The only downfall is basically instead of the intercooler stopping right here, which is where I'd like it to stop, it goes over like a 1/4 inch. Fine, it'll make it a little easier to seal everything up together because we're gonna have to build basically some plates here to just kind of keep the air funneled into the radiator and the intercooler. I think I'm good with it. Relatively level, it's a little low on that side right now. We'll have to verify it before we tack anything together, but I think that's about as good as it's gonna get. We got the radiator side of things squared away. We need to build something to mount to the frame rail and then something between that and this. So first we gotta start with the frame rail portion. amazing what that thing will do in just a tiny bit of time. All right, I put a bend in these just so it kind of hugs the frame rail nicely, but we need to cut about 3 inches of this bend out. Oh, we gotta trim basically to this edge. It fits right everywhere else. Like the bend is in the exact right spot, tucks up tight. It's sitting on the edge here. It's just too tight here. All right, switch to a little bit more aggressive belt for material removal. All right, so you can kind of see the point now. So we can't have it tucked to the side where the radiator is because it fits too tight, but I wanted to hug the frame rail a little bit. Boom, boom. So we need to drill some holes in it, throw some rib nuts in to mount it down, and then build something from there to here to hold the radiator. I really need a drill press, but we're holding off on new tools for now. Gone a little wild this month. Well, the brackets look pretty snazzy in there. Fit nice and tight. Look freaking snazzy in there. This is coming along nicely. So I went with M8 rib nuts just because this is going to be supporting the weight of the radiator and potentially some of the intercooler. I might add another bar across the top of the radiator and tie it in somewhere else. I'm not 100% sure yet, but it's going to be at least supporting the radiator, fans, that whole assembly, which is definitely a beefy unit. So yeah, all right, next we need to get the radiator back in here and start building from there to the other plate. All right, we got it nice and level. Just want to make sure the intercooler is still going to fit correctly. Breaking out the cold cut saw for this part. Now, this isn't the material I envisioned using. This is 1.5" square tubes. It's pretty freaking thick too. This is not what I meant to use, but I don't have what I need. I'm gonna have to make a supply run before we get into the next fab projects, but I wanna see how this looks with my idea. Benefit to the cold cut saw, clean old cut. All right, we're gonna make the belt grinder earn its keep on this one. Do up. We are real close to running out of argon. All right, here are our completed brackets. I just kind of hammered out the welding on them and trying to make them look that nice because they're going to get painted anyway. I do need to grind this edge down a little bit before we toss them back in just to see if I can put the radiator in with them attached. It was hitting the seam sealer on the way out, so that's why I had to unbolt it from the brackets and unbolt the brackets. So grind them down real quick, we'll toss them back in, make sure they still fit. If they still fit, throw a coat of paint on them. And the radiator is mounted. I'm happy with it. I wish I would have had like some smaller tubing. I wanted to use like something like this was my original plan and do it at kind of an angle, make it look nice, but this is what we had. Like I said, need to go on a material run. I also need to get some argon before we do any more fab work. We are mighty low. Like I said, I didn't know if we were gonna make it through all that welding without running out of argon. So enough jibber jabber, grind, fit. Alright, well, radiator successfully mounted. It's in there nice and solid. Very little clearance between the fan and the tension rod. Alright, well, that's it. Radiator is officially mounted. I definitely am not in love with the aesthetics of this mount setup. I really am not. I thought I would like it more, but it's not bad. It's not bad, and it is super beefy. I mean, this thing is not going anywhere. This thing is so stout. Ugh. Got our fans, got clearance, got room to get to the belt and stuff here again, which is nice because, you know, even with the intercooler here, we'll still be able to access the front of the motor with our V-mount setup, but we still fit everything. Nice tight packaging. Yeah. Overall, really happy with the end result. Really glad to have the radiator mounted. That is a big thing off the checkbox list. Checklist. A check box on the checklist. I gotta pull those mounts back out, throw a coat of paint on them. But otherwise, we are done for this evening, this video, because again, we are pretty much out of argon. And I need to go get some more material to do the rest of the stuff I want to do. So 2-for-1 reasons why we cannot continue any further, and it's nighttime. So you guys get the idea. That's going to be it for this video. I hope to see you guys for the next one. We got lots more fab work to do, mounting the intercooler, building the intakes, intercooler piping, radiator hard piping for the hoses, bead rolling that, exhaust. Like, there's a lot of more cool stuff to do, and wiring. So anyway, hope to see you guys for all that. But for now, that's enough jibber jabber. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Goodbye.